Good morning and welcome to Maseches Rosh Hashana, Daf Yud Gimel, number 13. They say that number 13 is an unlucky number. Truth in Judaism, it's actually the age where you get bar mitzvah. So in Judaism, it's a lucky number. So, like I mentioned, and Caleb Humphrey had said he doesn't want to be a goy. As I mentioned in the opening to Maseches Rosh Hashana, if you do not listen to my shir, you turn into a goy. It's a joke. Obviously, you don't turn into a goy if you don't listen to my shir. I hope people understood it as a joke. It is important to listen to my shir because it's a very good shir, and it's relevant to today's daf, which is Yud Gimel 13. Because if you listen to my shir, then you can maintain your chiyuv and mitzvos as a Jew. Bar mitzvah becomes mechayev, becomes obligated in mitzvos. If you keep on watching my shir, you'll remain obligated in mitzvos. If you do not follow my shir, then 13 becomes an unlucky number for you. Tongue in cheek, we're joking, alright? We're having a good time though, alright? Alright, we're going to start from the bottom of Yud Beis and Mid Beis. Amar Reb Zera, the last five words. Amar Reb Zera Ravasi, top of Yud Gimel Mid Aleph. Dilma lo ayel klal, v'kal merachmana tishamit, v'tezel ad chag HaSukkos. Maybe the reference to the pasuk. We said the reference to the pasuk yesterday was talking about that it grew one third of its growth during the year of Shemitah. So therefore, on Chag HaSukkos, which is 15 days after Rosh Hashana, the 8th year, the year after Shemitah, it's called Shemitah because it grew one third of its growth in the year of Shemitah. So maybe really it didn't grow at all in the year of Shemitah. And really the pasuk is telling me that the Shemitah extends past Rosh Hashana till the Chag of Sukkos. Extra Hosafa, Mosifin Michal Kodesh. Don't think such a thing. It says Hashana, the holiday of gathering in at the end of the year. My Asif. This is a reference to Sukkot also. My Asif. What does it mean Asif? If you're telling me it's a holiday which comes at the time when you harvest your produce, it says later on in the pasuk, at the time when you gather in your fruits. Elamai Asif Katzir. What does Asif mean? It doesn't mean the time of harvesting. It means that it depends on when you harvest something. It's a key word. It's denoting the fact that you should pay special attention to this harvesting, because if a third of it was grown before Rosh Hashana of the 8th year, the beginning of the 8th year, so then it's considered part of the crop of last year. The Rabbanan understood, the Rabbanan knew that if it grows a third before Rosh Hashanah, then it's considered to be, it's going to be ready to be harvested on Sukkot. The Rabbanan really were able to accurately define one third between a less than one third. They said if it's fully mature on Chag HaSukkos, so therefore it reached one third of its growth before Rosh Hashanah. They were able to distinguish between a third and a fourth, or a third, 33% and 32%. Didn't I tell you? Lo tefak nafshach alabar mehilchasa. Don't remove yourself from the halachas that Chazal understood. Kol midos chachamim kenu. Whatever the Chacham said as a measurement, it's exactly that measurement. Barboim sa utov. El barboim sa chasar kortav eno yachal litbal. And a mikvah has to be 40 sa of water. If it's 40 sa, missing even one kortav. Kortav is 1/64 of a lug, which is like 1 out of 1,500 and something. Here, 1 out of 1,536 of a sa. A little bit. So negligible of a difference. You can't be tovalin. Kibbetza, meaning the shear of a mikvah is based on how big your body is. The basic body of a person is the width of your body is an amma. The height of a body is 3 amos. So it has to be some water that your whole body could fit in. Oh, Shmuel,
No, I'm
come.
going now. I have to go. I have
Shmuel,
to
say
go home.
hello.
Hello.
Shmuel, what do you have to add? Add for the audience this week.
Oh,
Parshas Vayera.
Vayera. Oh, it's wonderful.
You know what I said today? I gave a share to the old fogies.
No, I just met somebody who was in the shir.
Really? Who?
His name is Rabbi Michiel Bortz.
Oh, did he like it?
Yeah, he was.
What did he say?
He
said something
his
about
wife
it?
said that he's in the house and that's what he sees Zoom. It gives him some of the good feeling. The whole he's lonely. It's lonely. He's stuck in the house because he fell and he's
Yeah.
doing a big.
Yeah, we're having a great time. And I told him we're learning about in Pelio, it's about Hachnasas Orchim, which fits in with this week's Parsha,
Wow.
Hachnasas Orchim.
That's right.
And everyone was giving their own explanation. Why is it so important to have guests? It's comparable to Kabbalah's Pnei Hashchina, even greater than Kabbalah's Pnei Hashchina. Why is it so important? What differentiates it from Milas Chasadim? What's so great about Hachnasas Orchim?
Very good question.
And you want to hear what I said? This is the answer that none of them loved. They looked at me as a heretic. I said, Hachanaz Zarchim is so great because it's a fun thing to do. It's fun to have guests over. It's enjoyable. You shouldn't have it we were talking about, if you have it every week, it can be kind of costly, but if you have it once a month, once every couple months, it's fun to meet new people.
That's right.
Right. It's because of the fun aspect of it. People don't realize
That's
that the
right.
Torah.
That's why everybody, you're all invited to the Tio's house this
What?
Shabbos.
Yeah,
Everybody
you
can come. Free food. You hear
We're
that?
gonna do that. We're gonna have some
Open
Shabbat
house
Tonim.
this Shabbos.
Open house.
Achnosas Orchim, Parshas Achnosas Orchim, Shabbos Achnosas Orchim, Be'enzi and Lang. Everybody come. Bring your friends. Bring your neighbors.
Shmuel, you're waiting for me to invite you, right?
You hear that, all you homeless people out there? Come.
Nah, listen, I don't know how much fun I have with homeless people. I need people that are cultured, people that are distinguished people. I want to have good conversations, fun conversations with them. One of the people on the share, he's like, I don't like when I invite someone to my house and they ask me, what do you do for a living? Is what he said. What do you do for a living? He said, it's wrong to ask that question.
That's true, it is wrong.
Why is it wrong to ask that question? That's a perfect one. He said, because you'll be embarrassed if you don't have a job. I mean, come on. This is a basic, fundamental question.
So make it up. Don't tell them, oh, I work in, just make up a thing, and that's all. I'm a lion tamer. I don't know. I work with goldfish. I don't know.
Listen, entertaining someone's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to ask personal questions, get to know each other, have a good time.
That's right.
All right, so let's go back to the Gemara. Thank you, Shmuel, for your input.
You're the best.
I am the best. Shmuel said it. I am the best. Confirm it. Rav David, ani hachi tov. Tagila al maslema. Benzi Lang, come tavo. Benzi Lang here. Benzi Lang.
He's the best.
He's in English. He doesn't even speak English so much. He said he's the best. Unbelievable. All right. So the Gemara says it has to be a mikveh. It has to be water that your whole body can fit into. They understood exactly 40 saw. Exactly 40 saw is water that your whole body can fit into. A little less. Most people can't fit into that water. If it's a shear of an egg, a food is a shear of an egg and it's tamei. It can be tamei something else, or it can be kabel tuma, depending on which rishon you learn. Like kibetza chaser shumshom, if it's an egg and it's missing even the size of a sesame seed, right? It's not considered a food. It's not considered significant to be a food. Shlosha al shlosha matame medras. Shlosha chaser nima achas eno matame medras. If it's 3 tvachim by 3 tvachim, a piece of cloth, it's matame medras. Medras is when someone who's tamei puts their weight on it, they step on it, or they sleep on it. It's matame medras. It has the exact tuma as the person that doesn't go down a level in tuma. If you're an avad tuma, it makes the medras an avad tuma also. Anyway, the piece of cloth has to be at least 3 tvachim by 3 tvachim. It's not considered clothing. It's not considered something that people would normally wear or use it as a patch. What I said before is not true. His friends, his colleagues asked Rav Kahana, when they brought the Korban Omer, when Bnei Yisrael came to Eretz Yisrael the first time after they crossed the Yarden, at the end of the 40 years in the wilderness, the midbar, whatever that means. Um, they brought a korban omer. Where do they bring it from? Tomer the ayil biyad nachri. If you'll say that it was grown in the hands of goyim, it has to be that it was grown and harvested in the possession of a Jew. V'lo katzir nachri. The Gemara says, "My de'akriva." How do you know they brought a korban omer that year? Dima lo akriva. The Gemara says, maybe they didn't bring it. Lo sagadai. Don't think that. Dechsiv vayochlu miibur haaretz mimachras hapesach. They ate from the produce, the fat of the land, the day after Pesach. Ted Zayin eats of machras hapesach achol mikar lo echol. They only would eat Ted Zayin Nisan, which is the day of Hakravas HaOmer. Before that, they didn't eat. The akrivu omer v'hadar achli. They brought the omer and then they ate. Mehechan hekrivu. Where did they bring it from? Which Jew grew the omer, the barley, to bring the korban omer? Amar lehen kol shelo hevi shlish biyad nachri. He said back to them, as long as it didn't grow a third in the hand of a nachri, so as long as, let's say, it grew a fourth in the hand of the nachri, then they crossed over the yard on a Yud Nisan, and the rest of its growth was in the hand of a Jew. That's considered to be grown in the hands of a Jew. Ksircha. V'dilma ayil v'lo kimlahu. Maybe it really did grow a third in the hands of the guy, and the Chachamim couldn't figure out, differentiate between a third and a fourth. Ala kimlahu must be that they were able to figure out exactly the difference between a third and less than a third. 32%. Hakanami kimlahu 33%, 33.3%, and 33%. They were able to tell the difference. Hakanami kimlahu v'dimala ayil klal. Maybe it was talking about where on Yud Nisan it wasn't growing at all. But once it starts growing, Riva bein shlish l'pach mishlish lo kimlu. Once it starts growing a fourth, they're not able to differentiate between a third and less than a third. Don't think that. They crossed the Yarden, the Jordan River, on the 10th day of Nisan. If it didn't grow at all, could it be fully grown? You know, the omer is fully grown barley seeds. It could grow in 5 days. So what do you want to say? Really, it grew before Yud Nisan, a fourth or a sixth. It's going to grow. It's going to finish growing to full maturity in 5 days, 6 days. There's a special segula, a special quality of Eretz Yisrael that Eretz Tzvi is compared to a deer. Deers run very fast, so produce grows very fast in Israel. Hachanami Eretz Tzvi ksiva. So therefore, once you already say Eretz Tzvi, that it grew from 1/4 to full growth in 6 days, so therefore we can say also Eretz Tzvi, and maybe it wasn't growing at all when they came in on Yud Nisan, and Eretz Tzvi grew to full maturity in 6 days. So there's no proof from it. How could you say this pasuk Asif is talking about the harvesting? It's talking about calling it the harvest. It says regarding to the time of Sukkot, it says the time when you gather from your threshing floor the remnants of your wheat after you chopped up the wheat, after you pressed the wheat, and the wine vat, the remaining clusters, the branches from the grapes. Amar Mar B'Psola is going v'yekav akasim b'dara. The Torah is talking about the refuse, the leftover, the remainders of the wheat and the grapes. Now we learn halacha Masechah Sukkah that these things are not makabel tuma because they're not oakland. You threw them away. They're garbage. Not makabel tuma. They're gedolei karkos. These are things that are kosher for schach. So you see what aspecha doesn't necessarily mean the harvesting. Doesn't really mean the harvesting. This means something else. And you gather in things which are not harvested. Garnchli Ikvecha are not things which are harvested. These are things that are just you gather in to put in the garbage. These are not, or you gather them to put out your schach. This idea that it was referring to Ktsir and it was referring to the Chachamim understood between a third and a fourth growth. That came and threw a disproof to it. He threw an axe into this and it disproved what we said. Elami Nolan. So where do you know this from? That a third growth, 1/3 of the growth, is considered to be grown in the previous year, as long as it reached 1/3 of its growth in the previous year. Tanya, Rabbi Yonasan ben Yosef Omer, Vasisa es hatfua l'shaloshan. This is talking about Shemitah year. that you're supposed to desist from working your land on the 7th year, so you stop on the 6th year. And Hashem promises that there'll be enough grain for 3 years till you reap the fruits of the 9th year. I'm sorry, our scroll has the same page 5 times. So, okay, now we turn Yud Gimel base. Al tikri l'shalosh ela l'shlish. Don't read the word shalosh. We make a drasha shlish. Shlish is the determining factor. 1/3 of the growth determines that it was either before the Shemitah year or during the Shemitah year. But you need the word shalosh for the simple meaning of the pasuk. Siv krach rina. The Gemara says no. For that, there's a different pasuk. V'zarasem as Hashana Shminis v'achaltem in atua yashana ad Hashana hachis. You're able to eat the old grain that you collected from the 6th year until the 9th year, right? Because the 8th year is when you're allowed to plant again. And then once you plant in the 8th year, you're not going to reap your fruits till the 9th year, till after Rosh Hashana, the 9th year. So you can have enough grain from the 6th year, the last year, to the 9th year. Therefore, the first pasuk we interpret in not shalosh but shlish. Dan Hasam, we learned in the Mishnah elsewhere in Mesechus Shvius, orez, rice, v'adochan, millet, v'apargin, poppy, v'ashumshamin, sesame, sheishrishu, lifnei Rosh Hashana. They took root in the ground before Rosh Hashanah. Misasrin l'sha'avar. You take off the Trumas and Maisros the previous year when they took root. Mutar b'Shvius. If they took root before Shvius, then they're mutar on Shvius, not considered Peros Shvius. V'im lav asurim b'Shvius. If they took root after Rosh Hashanah entering the 7th year, then they have the din of Shvius. Misasrin l'shana haba. And they're included in the Trumas and Maisros, not during a Shemitah year, or during one of the first 6 years. They're included in the year after Rosh Hashanah. Amar Rabba, Emor Rabbanan, Elon Basar Chanata. The Rabbanan said that in terms of calculating what year for Meiser Rishon, for Meiser Ani, different Meiser Ani is the 3rd and 6th year, Meiser Sheni is 1, 2, 4, and 5, Shemitah is the 7th year. You have to calculate what year it goes by in terms of Maestros, in terms of Shemitah, what year is it part of. So the Gemara says, Elon Basar Chanata. A fruit tree, it goes after when the fruit emerges. It begins to emerge when the bud falls off and the fruit begins to emerge. That is dependent. That's also actually totally in whether it happens before Tu B'Shvat or not. The cutoff point for fruit trees is Tu B'Shvat, like we saw in the Mishnah. So it happened before Tu B'Shvat. It emerges before Tu B'Shvat. The fruit, it's the previous year. After Tu B'Shvat, it's the following year. Yarek tvua v'zeisim basar shlish. Tvua grain and olives go after 1/3 of their growth. That's the year. Once it grows 1/3, that's the year. It's part of that crop. Yarek basar lakita. Yarek goes after the harvesting when you pick it from the ground. Hani kaman shavinu rabbanan. These, what we just mentioned before, rice and millet. These things, sesame. These things go after they take root, which is not one of the 3 possibilities that Rabbanan included. So why is it different? Hadar Maraba Mitosha Suyin Prochin Azi Rabbanan Basra Ashrasha. Because rice and millet, when you harvest them, you have to take them out of their shells, and it's done very in slow parts. You do a little by a little at a time. So if the Rabbanan were to say it goes Basra, let's say Lakita or something like that, so therefore you end up one crop would span two different years. Then you really want one crop to be. It's not fair to take Trumas and Maestros from past year's crop, from the following year's crop. You want the whole crop, the whole seasonal growing to be in 1 year. So therefore, they made a hashasha of rice and millet. These things happen in the same year, before Rosh Hashanah or after Rosh Hashanah. As your Rabbanan Basar hashasha, the Rabbanan went after taking root. Amalei Abaye v'yitzpar grona l'socho v'nim satora min hachadash sheba l'chadash bo v'niyash sheba l'chadash bo. Abaye says, why should we distinguish this from a regular case of seeds of lakita, of vegetables? Legumes are kitnios. These are types of vegetables. Theoretically, they should go after lakita, after just harvest them when you can, slowly. And then after you're done, why don't you put everything together, pile everything together, mix it very well. And once it's completely mixed, we're going to see there's a discussion. If you mix it very well, it's considered to be, I take off 1/10 for the past year and 1/10 for the following year. So it's considered your Torah min achadish bo achadish bo, from the new stuff on the new stuff, and a yashish bo yashish bo. It's considered evenly mixed. It's considered batel. Everything's batel. It's considered this year and the next year together. Milotan, Rabbi Yosef ben Kefer, Omer Mishum Shimon Shazuri, Pula Mitzri, Egyptian bean, another type of legume, Shazaru Lezera, that you planted it for its seed, or its bean. Mixaso Hishrish and Nerosh. Mixaso Hishrish Rosh. Part of the crop took root before Rosh, part took after Rosh. Ain't Torah Maishmin Zalza. You can't take off Shum Maestros from one year to the next. Lo min achadash al yashan. Lefi shein tor min maishan lo min achadash al yashan min yashan al achadash. You can't take from old on new and new on old. Keseru osa. What do? Osa sibur gorno l'socho v'nimsa Torah meiser min achadash bo al chadash bo min yashan bo al yashan bo. Pile everything together, like the other things like rice and millet. These things, beans also, they're harvested very slowly. So just even though the harvest spans 2 years, it spans before Rosh Hashana and after Rosh Hashana, just mix everything together after Rosh Hashana, and take off 1/10 from the past year, 1/10 for the new year. Amar Rosh Shazuri, Ka'amar, you say Rosh Shazuri. Rosh Shazuri Savri Yesh Bila. He holds that things considered mixed together are really mixed well together. Rabban and Savri ain't Bila. They hold things are not really mixed well together, and therefore when you take off from 1 year on that year, you're really taking off from 1 year on the next year. Shmuel says, "Lacha follows Shimon Shazuri." Maskil Rabbi Zera says it's possible. He doesn't hold a bila. He holds like the Rabbanan. There's only bila by wine and olive oil, because it's liquid. It mixes well together. But solid foods, they don't mix well together. So the Gemara answers, "Ishtamite had Amar Shmuel kol holich achar gmar pri." Shmuel also said something else. He says everything goes after the gemar of the fruit when it matures, when the seed matures. So Shmuel really paskin like Shimon Shazuri, but not because of Shimon Shazuri's reasoning, or Shimon Shazuri paskin like that because he held a bila. He held everything gets mixed together. That's why you're sober gorno mitocho. You mix everything together. Shmuel said kol holich achar gmar pri. So therefore, you don't have to be sober gorno l'socho. What you could do is it goes after, not when it takes hashrasha. He holds by Paula Mitzri and also by Orez and Docha, and it goes after when the seed matures, when the germination is completed and the seed matures. Then that's considered to be not lakita, not chanata, and not shlish, a fourth category, a fifth category. Shmuel would say you go after the gemar of the seed when the seed matures. Before it's harvested, and that happens generally in 1 year. You don't have to worry about it having 2 years together because that happens after Rosh Hashana, so there's no more problem anymore. I'll give a short Ian with Ben Sion. Rabbi Levovitz, you want to hear Ian with Ben Sion today? Ian with Ben Sion. Dun 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 dun. A little Ian on Daf Yud Gimel on Rosh Hashana. You're familiar with the Gemara? The Gemara says that Ilan Basar Chanata Tvua V'Zeisim Basar Shlish Yarek Basar Lakita. All these different cutoff points for Trumos and Maestros, what year it's part of. Why are these things different? And where did Chazal find out to make these things different? I read before in our school they say Tvua V'Zeisim is Del Raisa. It's talking about 3 things that are Maestro and Maestros Del Raisa. Tvua refers to wheat grain. Zeisim is oil. Is olives, and grapes is not mentioned over here. That's a problem. Grapes is not mentioned over here. Why is grapes not mentioned over here? Also, tvua doesn't just say chitim. It says tvua can include all 5 grains or other types of cereal grains. It's a problem. So I want to say that it goes based on when people would eat the actual fruit. When it comes to fruit trees. So even when it emerges, even though it's a young fruit and it's not ripened, people like fruits. Fruits are enjoyable to eat. So fruits, a person is willing to eat a fruit even though it's just started to emerge. They'll eat it because people like fruits. 2 of azasim, those are things which are, azasim is also a tree, it's a fruit tree, but people don't like olives so much. They don't taste that good, olives. I know in Israel, people seem to like olives over here. I don't know why. They don't taste that good. Tfuah also, grains, you make them into pasta, let's say. These are things which people like also. So if it's basar shlish, that's a little more growth. It's not just emergence. That's a time when people would be roy for eating it. And vegetables, Yarek, no one likes to eat vegetables, right? Right, Lovitz, your kids don't eat their veggies, right? Do you eat your veggies?
Yeah,
What veggies do you like?
cucumbers,
You like broccoli?
broccoli, and what's it called? Lettuce.
Cauliflower?
Yeah.
Anyway, people don't like vegetables as much as they like fruits or they like pasta. That's why it goes after they're fully formed and they're harvested. And we'll end today's share with that. Uh, have a good Shabbos, everybody. Be well. Bye.